Notice. Hello everyone.
Welcome.
We got some people joining us right now.
Look at all the people in the house. Y'all, thanks for coming.
Aloha from Hawaii. I'm here quarantining with Taylor.
That's right. It's a good time. It's a good time. Got some cozy tea. My turmeric stained mug here. It's a liver lover. Probably, maybe you can see that.
Hello everyone.
Hello. Are y'all drinking tea? Hey, Mom. Welcome to Hawaii, y'all. We're just in the kitchen,
Hey.
in the dining area.
Yoo-hoo. Well, cheers, Taylor.
Cheers.
What are you drinking today?
I've got liver lover tea. Can you turn the music down? It's a local tea. I got it at Island Naturals here, and it has dandelion, burdock, licorice, milk thistle, ginger, schizandra, lycium, red clover, palo d'arco, orange peel, stevia, and love. And it is very epic.
Wow.
And apparently you can get it on Etsy too, because someone found it there. And I was like, oh my god, that was local, but you can get it anywhere. So
Liver lover tea.
yeah.
Awesome.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking chamomile lemon tea just to soothe the nerves and relax and get into the aloha vibe here. It feels really good. Ooh, someone's got chamomile
That's
mint.
my mom, yeah.
Oh,
Mom's having her hot
awesome.
tea.
Let us know what you're drinking. We'll shout you out.
Yeah.
Cool. So, who are you?
I'm TayTay.
And I'm TiTi.
And this is our tea time! Welcome.
So, what are we here for, Taylor?
We are exploring topics relevant to holistic health and a raw vegan lifestyle.
Nice.
Diving deep. We're going deep.
Do you want to explain how we kind of got on this idea a little bit? Like, let them know how we had phone calls and we started
You're explaining.
We started having phone call sessions all the time. We've been meeting a long time, like once a week or more, and we were just discussing really interesting things. And I was really excited to hear Taylor's perspective because we've both been on the path, but we each have different perspectives and angles, and it's really great to hear, new things. And we're like, we want to talk about this with people. We want to share this and
open up these cans of worms.
Yeah. So this is our first one. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And our goal will be to repeat these and make them a regular occurrence on a monthly basis, on every first Tuesday. That's our first goal, and we'll see if it catches on. If we want to do some more, we'll do more.
Every first Tuesday of the month. So bring your cup of joe or tea and get warm and cozy. So if any of you do not know who we are or want to learn more about us, you can obviously check out our Instagram, which you may be familiar with by popping on here. Mine's Tina Sue, at Tina Sue's, and you
Joyful Raw Life.
And we also have a YouTube channel each, which I'm starting mine, and Taylor, yours pretty
I've
seasoned.
got one, yeah, Taylor A. Norris. And yeah, we'll post this on our IGTV afterwards, as well as our YouTube channel. So yeah.
So, what are you grateful for today, Taylor?
Oh my god, this is really cool. This is fun and different. I'm grateful. We had a really awesome workout before this, control and cardio with Zuzka Light, and like Tina's been working out with me since she's been here in my little home gym setup. So I'm grateful for a great workout, all the microgreen tending, just a beautiful morning routine, and getting to share that with Tina and flow together, because I have very regimented morning routine, and it's nice that like you've been able to, like, we've been flowing and vibing in that. So yeah I think I'm just grateful for today, and like relishing every moment of you being here, and like being in Hawaii in a healthy, happy mind, body, spirit space. Like, that is so precious.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that.
We may be cheesing a lot on this. Cheers to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Well, I'm grateful for being here. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I shared a post about choosing goodness in life and following what feels like what brings in happiness and joy, and I kind of felt like I was stuffing that down for a bit, and kind of putting off coming here, and I really wanted to come here, and finally I just decided, like, yes, I'm doing this, and I'm just really grateful for being in your home and your kitty Naga, and weaving our passions together and creating epic food, and just enjoying it together. We've been doing gratitudes at dinner time, candlelight dinners, and I just really enjoy that, like slowing down, being present with each other. And I'm also very, very grateful for the bounty of tropical fruit. We have some
It's
really
ridiculous.
good
In a good way.
It's like I came here and I forgot almost like all the fruit that's possible. There's like longan and rollinia and passion fruit and sapote and all these different styles of papayas. Like the solo papaya was just dripping out of my mouth, like super sugary and sweet, and it was just like wow. So I was just really, really happy to experiencing these like new tastes, and it just makes us so happy to see them. It's like the colors pop, and it makes you want to create beauty with them as well as nourish yourself. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
Yay. Me too. Yum yum.
So Taylor, what are we doing?
What are we doing, y'all? Why are we here? Well, today's topic, we're going to be talking about raw vegan in the winter time. It is the winter time. It is December 1st. Some of you may be very cold. If you'd like to, drop where you're tuning in from in the comments. That would be really interesting to see in the chat. Because we're in Hawaii. It's quite warm here, but I'm kind of cold right now.
Yeah, it gets chilly.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of chilly here, to
does.
be honest, but it's nothing like when I was at home before coming.
Yeah.
Jungsu, you said you hear crowing. There is chickens or roosters?
Roosters, straight up roosters. That's kind of my signature background ambient noise without a microphone. They are the neighbors. It's like a catty corner neighbor who I think has tons of roosters. And yeah, when I first got here, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this, but you actually get used to it.
They go off all day. It's pretty crazy. I've only heard ones that go off in the morning, and hers are just all day.
Yeah, Oops. Yeah. That's what's up. But yeah, this is the big island of Hawaii. Someone was asking where we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, big island Hawaii.
Pahoa area. Mm-hmm. The cool side.
Yeah, the rainy side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is cold in the morning. Like I am getting like a little sense of that. Like you can tell it's winter here. Yeah, the roosters are tuning in to that.
Yeah. So, what's your experience with eating raw, like in the winter?
Okay, well, I've done raw in the winter many places. I first dove into raw when I was living in Indiana, and it was actually, I was in grad school. It was the coldest winter they had had in years, like 60 years or something. There were like the biggest snowstorms, and it was extreme low temperatures. This was in 2013, 14. There was some kind of like freeze, like Arctic freeze, Arctic,
Wow.
they had a whole name for it in the Weather Channel, and it was like a big deal. And that's when I chose to like start eating raw vegan, and I was, yeah, it was funny because I was learning about thermodynamics too, and like I think Ray Krohn's work, I believe his name is, with using like cold therapy and cold showers and like
cool.
letting yourself get cold, putting a hat on, putting like some gloves and socks, but like chilling out in your house and like just shorts and tank top when it's the winter time and you're like, you are cold. So getting benefits from that. So I was doing that, and I was diving into like, starting to eat more salads and raw food and smoothies, and I was freezing my tush off, y'all. Like I didn't know what I was doing at all. I just like intuitively been drawn to raw food and started incorporating it, and then I found Freely's channel, the Banana Girl, and was like eating the bananas, and thankfully, like I did move through that winter. I was okay. I stayed raw, but it was still definitely just kind of winging it, figuring it out. And then the next winter, it wasn't quite as cold. I was still in Indiana, but I was much more grounded in a raw vegan, like 80-10-10 style path. And, I was eating a lot of cold food. I was eating a lot of like
out
orange
of the refrigerator
juice.
and
Yeah. I would have my oranges stored in the fridge, and then I'd take them out maybe the night before, but not always, and make all this juice, and then I was like blending in frozen fruit. And so yeah, I was so cold. I was doing intermittent fasting, and I'd show up to grad school like with my quarts of smoothies, juicy smoothies, that I'd store in the fridge, and then I had this like full body, I had a full body blue coat, LL Bean blue coat that I'd wear with like my hat on and my gloves and my like the UGG boots I had. Yeah, and I was like walking around inside with this jacket on, and people were making fun of me, and like my teachers. And, I wasn't like strong enough yet in my path. I mean, I was doing the thing, but I was like, man, if like people are really going to hate this much, like this is rough. But it's been so much better since then.
Does your body naturally run cold?
Yeah, I already run probably a little colder, maybe in the 97-degree range. But yeah, and now that people are taking your temperature more frequently, I've seen like 96-degree readings.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so, and I've had Raynaud's in the past too, like the poor circulation in the hands and feet. So, yeah, my hands and feet are actually a little cold right now. Need to warm them up. Mm-hmm.
So,
but that was my coldest raw
coldest?
vegan. Yeah, it was in Indiana. And then I've done it in Louisiana, where, it's pretty mild there. Excuse me. And where else was I? Yeah, I didn't do it for a few years when I was in like Canada. No. I came back to raw when I was in Canada, but it was like already like March or April. But if you live in Canada, the winter lasts until like June sometimes. So it was kind of raw vegan in the winter there.
Yeah.
So I've done it here, of course. I'm doing it here. Last year I did it in Arizona, and it was really easy there.
Does it get below freezing there at all?
I don't know. I don't know that it did. Mom, can you chime in about that? Does it get below freezing? I'm not sure. My mom's in Arizona.
Someone says they've been thinking about a raw vegan homestead in Alaska. Sounds like it's a bad idea now.
We know a couple raw vegans in Alaska, and they're doing the thing. So, yeah, it's definitely possible. Well, I know Jamie, my friend Jamie, there's Cece in the group.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. At least those two ladies are doing it.
It's doable.
Yeah, it's doable anywhere. Yeah, Eleanor's doing it in New Zealand. I know it gets pretty cold there.
Yeah. So I also went raw in the winter my first time.
Right on.
Yeah.
Where were you?
But I wasn't like your situation.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Barcelona. So
That's nice.
But the first time I juiced was the year before that or two, and I did that kind of coming off the winter, and that was freezing. That was in Italy, in Milan, and I would wear these like long coats and stuff there. But I do think it was starting to get spring. I think probably the coldest I've been when I was eating raw was like in California or Barcelona, and I don't think it dropped that below 0 or anything. So I haven't experienced that, but definitely it gets a lot colder outside, and there's definitely been pitfalls that I fell through, like learning to not put fruit in the fridge, or at least taking it out, and so it thaws to like room temperature, or like, there's a lot of tips and tricks we can share about what we've learned, and I'm really curious to hear also what you guys want to add in after you hear us. We were thinking of like kind of just dialoguing for like the first half, and then doing like maybe Q&A after on the second half.
Yeah.
And so
hold your questions. We'll have some time for questions.
When I wanted to add that when I first went raw that winter, I actually experienced the opposite of cold. Like my whole, I don't know if it's because my system was warming up and the energy was moving more from eating raw, but like I actually had physical heat sensations in my body, like in my chakras. It was pretty crazy. Like I actually felt it in my heart, and it felt like a magnetic rod, and it felt like heat sensations, like a circular cone rod through my body, and I just feel heat sensations. Like it would just come on, like very, very warm and last. And then I also had it in my solar plexus area. And I wasn't even thinking it was gonna do that. It just happened naturally.
You don't expect that.
My body's temperature was like heating up, and I really feel like those areas were opening, like my heart was opening, and like, who know, all these different centers were moving. And
it sounds like a Kundalini awakening is what, it's coming to mind. I just saw like a flash. Some flashes around your head too.
That's cool. Talking like about sparking. It.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of people think that you get really, really cold when you do this, and that's possible, especially if you're eating a lot of frozen and fruit from the fridge. But if you eat it like at room temperature, my body was like starting to heat up like a motor, and it's pretty interesting that happens. I don't know if anyone has had an experience like this. I'd love to chime in and write like chakra or something.
Yeah.
Chakra opening.
It's possible for sure. Especially, were you doing some spiritual awareness work at the time as well, or the practices?
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, I think
probably. Yeah.
I think it was. I think I was getting into like sun gazing at the time. And
that would be helpful.
Barefooting and I can't remember if I started meditating at the time or I already was. I think I was getting into it, and I was having a lot of spontaneous things happen, but I definitely was into an intuitive practice where I wanted to tap into my, like, follow my inner knowing and then go there. So that was definitely that's awakening too. So which led me to raw foods. Yeah,
it all goes together really well. But you were so Tina was just in California before this, and like I kept seeing her in pictures of like super bundled up and like really you're doing the thing in the cold there. Yeah, and she lives in a yurt, like a beautiful yurt with like a outdoor lifestyle.
Yeah. And so the yurt is actually the same temperature as outside, or even colder sometimes. So the only way it gets warm is if we put a fire. And it's like definitely cold when I wake up. So that's like the last time I want to drink a smoothie or something. I usually have like a hot tea or lemon water. I warm it up and
In
bundle. I have to bundle. Sometimes we do have to put a fire. So yeah, you gotta wrap. I had to wrap myself up with get layers and moving.
Yeah, moving.
It was cold. It was cold. It was starting to get cold.
Yeah.
I think it even dropped below zero. Normally it doesn't drop below zero in my area. I live in Northern California, so.
Yeah.
I'm curious about some of your tricks that have worked like over the years, you know? Like, I don't know, what are some of the things that come off the top of your head when you're in that freezing, especially the freezing scenario she was in?
The freezing one is straight up the hot tea. Like, I was crushing the hot tea all winter long. Having something like this, like a hydro flask to keep it warm, the hot water, and then pouring into a mug. But yeah, doing lots of herbal tea. I think at the time too, I was doing some maybe caffeinated teas, which I don't do anymore. I feel more like balanced and grounded and less anxious when I don't have the caffeinated tea. But herbal teas, you know, find some nice ones that you really enjoy. And if that resonates with you, I know some raw foodies are like, oh my god, no herbal teas, it's not raw vegan, oh my god.
Then you can make
And
sun
that's
tea
fine.
and put it out in the sun.
Yeah, maybe, or use like warm water and like, you know, herbs you dry yourself if you're doing that, like respect. Yes, turmeric tea is wonderful. What I'm doing now is like a hot lemon water in the morning that I blend turmeric, peeled lemon, parsley in my blender with like over a liter of water, blend that up really nice, and then strain it through a nut milk bag, put it in one of these to stay hot, and then I'm just sipping that by the cup, and y'all, it's so good. You could do that with ginger too, which would be really nice and warming as well. But yeah, I think the teas are a big one if you're open to that. Dressing warm, like the super warm coat, like warm layers.
Oh, for sure.
Keeping your feet warm, keeping your hands warm.
Feet, and head. That's my experience. Like if my feet get cold, even here in Hawaii on her flooring, it's like my whole body starts getting cold. So if I can keep my feet and my hands and the head,
I need
excuse me,
slippers.
the ears, yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's huge. But yeah, not like making a smoothie with cold ingredients and then storing it in the fridge until you have it. Like even if you make a smoothie ahead with cold ingredients, just you can leaving it out in like a mason jar or something that will temperature adjust, versus if you pour in one of these like an ice cold smoothie, it's gonna stay cold. So keeping that in mind.
Going along with that, I sometimes heat water, but I don't like have it boiling. Like I just get it warm, and I use warm water, like the leftover water from whatever I was drinking, and I add it to the smoothie when I blend it. Because like if I have frozen blueberries, I'll just add warm water instead of like cold, filtered, whatever, you know? And that really, really helps. Yeah, someone says room temperature is best. I totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah, for the
there.
hot water. Yeah, whatever resonates. I try to do everything, you know, room temp, but like for the cold aspect, yeah, I'm heating some water up for sure. I don't drink cold water though. Like I don't like it. If I go to a restaurant and I get cold water, I'm like, I can't.
The only time I like cold water is like if I'm like really exerting my body, or like I'm overheated and I need, you know, or I'm in a like
an
swimming,
emergency
you know,
situation.
and then in a water park.
Yeah.
But drinking it, it's only if I'm like super duper hot.
Yeah, it's not pleasing.
Yeah.
And I think really one of the other keys to that winter for me was just like, I'm gonna do the thing. Like I'm doing the raw vegan. Like it was my first winter doing it. I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to grow. I wanted to get all the benefits and level up. So having like a strong mindset and surrounding myself with motivation too. Like I was watching a lot of YouTube videos and really educating myself, reading books, like reading the 80-10-10 diet and being like, how do I do this? You know, what is like the information I can learn to really inform myself and like have a strong conviction.
Yeah, mindset is huge, and your environment is huge. And so, I mean, some people live around raw vegans or even vegans, but some people don't, you know. And so, really, like you said, inundating yourself with like like community, but either virtual community or like groups or meetups or whatever. Having that kind of support is key, and also information is key, like a consistent education. And the more I get inspired when I read. I'm constantly learning. I'm still learning after a while being on this path. And it's like, even just talking to someone who's only done it a month, I can still learn something, you know? I'm constantly learning from people's perspectives, and creating that, having that be your mental environment is huge. Like you said, you had to decide it and want it. So a good question I think is like holding that, like what's gonna actually asking myself, because only I know myself, what's gonna help me get through this? Like what are the places I normally slip up, and like what are the things that are gonna help me move forward through this, that can, you know, everybody has like their own weakness spot, or
for sure,
or I'm trying to
triggers, just ways your environment can be dialed in so that it's just easy and you show up and you do it. And you know you're gonna do it.
Yeah. And speaking of triggers, there's holidays, a lot of holidays in the wintertime.
Right? We just had Thanksgiving here in the States, and like Christmas is just around the corner. New Year's.
All different types of things, all different religions, and it's a time of celebration.
Woo! And most people are like shoving the junk in, the heavy stuff, and you know, choosing this is like such a radically different thing. So Tina just successfully navigated Thanksgiving holiday with two different family meals.
I did have tastes of the platters. I did this time.
Of what platters?
Potato and this time I did taste it.
I didn't hear about that. I'm bragging about it. But still, if
no,
you
actually, I've been through Thanksgiving many years and never had taste, like for years. Like I've brought raw vegan platters. This time I felt like tasting it. I'll tell you about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's totally doable and possible. And
how have you gotten through the holidays in the past, like sticking to your intention to stay raw? What's helped you?
I think that having your goal clear, your intention clear, and choosing from that intention, and being centered, and nourishing your emotions and mind and body before, definitely going in, eating, you know, like feel satiated, you know, so that you don't prepare other people's foods and taste theirs and stuff.
So having something before you make other people's foods.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and then so a lot of people think like, oh, I'm gonna be excluded and all this stuff. And I had this one situation happen. It was like one of my first raw Thanksgivings or Christmases or something, and I brought a portion just for me. And I was thinking like, oh, I better make my meal because everybody else is going to have their meal and it's buffet style. But what happened was actually the person I was most afraid of, like walking up, you know, stepping on their toes, or I thought would have a problem with it, actually was like, why didn't you make more? I want to try it. So from then on, the lesson was learned. Like now I bring like too much. I bring like a huge portion, and I'll have leftovers and I'll eat those, and then I definitely like bring a lot, and people actually enjoy it. And I don't advertise like, hey everybody, this is raw. I'm just like, hey, this is the seasonal salad or whatever it is. And then if they want it, they want it. They don't, and I don't take it personally if they eat it or not. But actually everybody eats it, and a lot of people ask me for the recipe, or but I think that, bringing enough to share and really tapping into your connection, intention that you're there to connect, you know? So you don't have to eat the food of somebody else to connect. you, like, I choose to connect through talking and through sharing and asking and being present if I can. You know, and we're all human. We get triggers. We have families, and
For sure.
That's my take on it. How about you?
Yeah, I think definitely make your food before you're making a bunch of other people's food, because so even if you're not going to eat it right away, just like, okay, I know I'm going to have my smoothie for later, and I can like be present and fix the other food if I need to. I've been really blessed the past several holidays. I've been able to just like make my food, and I'm not having to make other people's food. And you know, bringing enough to share, like you said, like choosing a dish that I think other people might be like, this looks kind of like good or interesting. Like, yeah, I made like raw pies, and like this like avocado cauliflower rice, like with Spanish olives, which weren't raw but like still pretty close to raw. And you know, bringing that kind of attractive dish and like plating it up nicely, decorating the cake pretty. I've done that in the past, and often, yeah, people try it. You know, I remember one little kid tried my pie, and he was like, "This tastes weird." You know, he was used to like a regular sugary like ice cream cake or something, and this was like a cashew nut date, you know, kind of raw pie. So, but you know, if you have a bunch of leftovers, you just bring them home, or it's not a big deal. And then I've had recent holidays which have been really nice. Like I'll make like a multi-course raw vegan meal for myself and my mom, who's on here, and we just, you know, enjoy that. It's
Mom.
A lot of fun. Yeah, to share with others, you know, and it's like, it's so heartening when family members are open to it, to eating the food. And even if I was celebrating with family members and they weren't into it, I would bring my food and I would have it and offer to share, but not have my feelings hurt if they're not into it, because you know, there's plenty of food there for them, and it's not that my food's not good or anything. It's just that's not what they're used to, and I can go and do my thing, show up as me, make my good choices, and show love and connect in the other ways that Tina was talking about. You know, not talking about the food the whole time, and just like being
people's
being
interests,
present.
what they're excited about, or what their dreams are, what they're into.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing in the holidays, and it's fun. It's good. It's a good kind of test too of like where you're at, and I enjoy it. It's doable. Y'all can do it if you want to stay raw through the holidays. Just like decide that's what you're gonna do and proceed to do it. Like you can have that intention into it.
Yeah, I think if we walk with the intentions to love, then people feel love. If we walk with the intention to judge and to criticize and to shame, then they'll feel that, and they won't be receptive. You know, you won't have a good time. You know.
That's so key. That's or being like so afraid that other people are judging you.
Oh yeah, walking with the intention of fear will create just separation and suffering, pain.
When they don't care. You know, they're just a little bit like, you know, why are they doing that other thing? And again, it's okay if someone is like hating on you or like, you know, nagging on you. It's probably because they're a little bit uncomfortable or insecure about maybe their gluttonous ways on this particular day, and you know, you don't have to get into an argument about it. You know, that's a good time to just change the topic of conversation. Ask them, you know, what are you excited about? What have you been up to? You know, just kind of do a little alchemization of the situation and bring it back to the love vibration.
And really feel into whether it serves love to actually bring up a topic. Like if someone says, oh, you're eating raw or vegan or this or that, like, you know, if they're bringing it up, actually I kind of have a rule for myself, and this might help somebody. is that I never talk about my food choices during a meal, because I know what I know is controversial. I also know that if they knew what I was about to share them, either they will just get in a fight and defend themselves, they'll mock me, or they'll actually believe me and awaken or hear it, but then they will lose all the joy of their meal. And I'm not going to do that during a meal. Like let them eat their food. It's not the optimal time to have a conversation about veganism or how raw foods are more optimal than cooked foods. Like, it's more of a time, I think, to celebrate communion with family, with friends, and to see what the commonalities we have, and to honor each other, that we're in each other's lives. Like, we're all different, we all have choices, and in spirituality and consciousness, like, your level of awakening, is like so out of your control. Like, you can think you're reading all these books or doing all these practices to awaken yourself, but ultimately it's outside of your control. Like, that's the higher ups decision when you're actually gonna have a download, when you're actually gonna awaken. Like, I didn't control and decide I'm gonna become a vegan the day I did. I just had a realization, like, whoa, this is a cow on a slab. Like, that the cow and the burger are the same thing. Like, it was just a thing. I can't control that very specific moment, and everybody has that moment in their own personal timeline, in their own divine timing, right timing, and I want to honor that, and I also want to be authentic and true, but I also believe love is the intention that serves the most, in the beginning, before we speak our truth. And if you study yoga, they say ahimsa comes before satya. Ahimsa is compassion. Then you have satya, which is truth. So, there's a reason. Speak your truth with compassion. So, that's when I learned that. When I remember being on this yoga retreat, I was like, oh my God, yes, because I always felt before hard. Like, I would, I didn't want to be blunt, so I would just like shut off and never speak. But that's my approach on it, and it seems like it was similar.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and if people are curious, they'll ask questions, and you can, like, I can feel it out whether someone's like actually curious or like just like just saying things, to like get a response. And I love what you said. I think we need more love. We need more compassion towards other human beings, and like, I love what you're saying about like awakening being like the pacing of that being kind of out of our control. And that definitely resonates with when I went vegan. Like, just waking up to that awareness and realizing my actions need to align with these like deeper beliefs and values in my heart, and that people are just on this diverse range of places in their path, and you can love someone at any point along that path and not be judgmental. And in your loving presence, like, just having loving presence and sharing that, I feel like helps people wake up. You don't even necessarily have to be, well, this is the vegan path and this is how raw vegan works and all the things. Like, people, our hearts are so powerful. They're just the most powerful electromagnetic fields, and people will feel that. And we can all be catalysts for positive change in our small worlds.
Totally.
Yeah.
Juicy topic. I wanted to just add on really quickly.
Yeah, go for it.
Like, when someone's approaching you at a holiday, since it's raw vegan in the winter, and they're like, what, why do you do that? Or like, why don't you eat meat or whatever? Then that's when I tell them, well, I choose not to talk about this during a meal, but I keep the door open. And then this is kind of how I weed people out. I'm like, but if you're really interested, I really want to answer your questions after we eat. So hold that thought and ask me after if you want to know. Because if you really knew this is what I say. If you really knew what I knew, you'd probably lose your appetite. That's what I say.
Oh, dang. Yeah, it's true.
So, And actually, usually nobody ends up asking me afterwards.
Like, I don't want to know. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a way to see who really is authentic in their crushing, or are they just antagonistic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
test.
going along with holidays and cheer and everything, you know, there's a lot of things we can do to warm up. Like I think we didn't talk about like
practical
spices, adding spices into food. Oh,
Spices
she has a whole
right here.
spice rack back there. I was like, what's she doing?
Yeah.
There's warming spices you can use. She's a master of knowing the names because she does.
Ginger is good, like cayenne pepper, chilies, jalapeno. Really hot things though can cool you down, so you gotta kind of like find that balance. Yeah, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove. Cardamom, all those like holiday type spices, star anise. What else I got back here? Like the smoked paprika and chili powders and those kinds of things. Black pepper, all of those very, very beautiful, very, very like vata pacifying, kapha pacifying for stimulating digestion and like cranking up the metabolism a bit. So those are all really, really good choices to go ahead and spice your foods. Like cooling spices would be more like parsley, cilantro, dill, mint. So it's not like those herbs in particular. It's not the time maybe to go overboard on those. But yeah, choose.
And obviously, like within your, like if it works with your body.
Of course.
Ultimately, like all of these kind of tips are if it works with you. Like some people have very sensitive internal linings and maybe cayenne would be way too much for them. So yeah, obviously with what works with you.
Yeah, and everyone's tolerance is different. Like we were having a soup last night and I'm like, oh, this is really good, and Tina's like, this is like almost too hot. And I'm like,
I was like, I need to cut this with the herbal. I need to add something in here.
I'm like, I could have added like another teaspoon of each of the hot spices and been chilling. Like,
she grew up in Louisiana, so she's got the Cajun spice.
Yeah, and we were using the Cajun spice. That's a good one for warming.
We like the ones that don't have salt in them. So
salt free.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what Tina was saying too about like if you're someone who doesn't do spices, like I know a lot of different teachers teach that as, you know, like the cleanest way to do it, and like total respect if that's what you're doing, and maybe avoiding ginger, garlic, onion, those kinds of things.
Then use the other tips.
You do that. That's fine. You do you. Yeah. So what else were we tip-wise?
So speaking of the soup we had last night, Taylor has this amazing blender that I've never used. It's a vacuum sealed blender, and we're not affiliates or anything. I'm just like, I'm here quarantining at her house. She's got this awesome blender. It vacuums and sucks out the oxygen. And I'm like, you know what? How much does that actually really help? I was thinking before I came here, but this is a side note.
Yeah,
it's relevant. Smoothies are so much more bright. Like they're brighter and they're like more purple, and the colors are coming out, and oxidization is real. Like it's a thing, and the Vitamix really like made it like a different color. It's pretty amazing. But so the Breville, like it spins really hot, you know, and she can warm up her soup, like the soups we make.
You can do that in the Vitamix too, but
you have to blend it for a longer time. And
this has a soup setting that I don't use all the way because it's like too long, but I can use for part of the time, and it will warm it up, and it is vacuum sealed, so the color and the texture is phenomenal. And I add sea moss to it, which helps thicken up the soup as well. If you're using a fat, you know, the soup will be like nicer, thicker, creamier already. But it's really good to use sea moss. And
just 1 teaspoon, she makes this mix, and
a gel.
It's a new thing for me, and
it's new for me too.
It's awesome. It's like
it's great.
You can make a cucumber soup, and it's creamy.
If you're doing like a fat-free soup.
And it doesn't even have avocado in it. Yeah, if you want to take out the fats and actually eat your avocado in chunks in your soup.
Which we do.
You rinse this thing like a lot, like 5 times or something.
Sea moss.
And then you soak it overnight, right? And then you blend it the next day.
Yeah, with some water.
After you rinsed it again. And then you just take a teaspoon, right? And you just...
Yeah, a teaspoon to a tablespoon is like a healthy single day serve. and it's really, really nice. It's salty if you don't rinse it thoroughly, which I didn't rinse it maybe as thoroughly as I should have, but y'all, it's pleasant, and I'm not having any water retention issues or anything with it. But I've showed y'all the blender in past lives, so you can check those out. But yeah,
but warming your soups is definitely like a nice key. I was always like not really wanting to blend too much like that because of the whole oxidation and then just electricity reasons for my house.
Off grid.
So I kinda. And I pour warm water in it instead of like blending it. So you can do either method, and it really makes a difference, I think.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any other tips they want to share or any questions? We're open to questions. We have like 15 more minutes.
Good to see you on here.
Yeah.
I noticed one other thing though. One other way to like warm yourself up is the exercise. Like keep exercising daily in the winter. That is a wonderful way. If you have a rebounder, I had that actually in Indiana. You can jump on that. Like
body.
I do a diversity, even yoga or something. You could do breath of fire, you could do pranayama to help you warm up, but moving your body, it's really, really good. I was running and training one winter and like kept running every single day in the snow even, and you warm up, and I felt warmer that day.
She was telling me these crazy stories about wearing the headlamp at 5 a.m. running in pitch dark, and I was like, I don't think I want to do that.
No, I mean, I live in the tropics now. Like it's
I was like, I think when it's really cold outside, I want to stay indoors and do like, you know, burpees or sit-ups or body workouts or jump rope or yoga.
You're gonna get a rebounder. She's getting one today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good accountability. So
move your body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have one question first from our Instagram feed, and then we have another one right here.
Yeah.
Emily Grace asks, my question with raw in the winter is I rely on frozen fruit because the fresh isn't super available. Is this healthy, and what can I do instead? So she relies a lot on frozen fruit, and I feel like, do you want to start this off?
I talked about this actually in maybe my last live or the live before last on my IGTV in depth, but I did some research on it, and nutrient wise,
this was something that I made for a note for myself.
I mean, it's fine. Nutrient wise, it's totally like comparable. Like studies have been done. The nutrient loss is not a big deal. Fruit, if you're doing frozen fruit, it's usually picked at peak ripeness, and then it's packaged. It's not cooked. It's not pasteurized. There's nothing killing off nutrition. The big thing to remember is don't let it go in the freezer for longer than a year, which hopefully you're not going to do anyway. Then you will see some degradation, but nutrient wise, it's fine to use. But if you don't want to freeze your tush off, you might want to remove it and thaw it even in your refrigerator overnight, or
on the counter.
Yeah.
Or use the warm water, like have it out on the counter, thaw it, and then use the warm water in the smoothie.
Absolutely.
The thing with that is like the freezer, I think it kind of like turns off and on and off and on. It's not like a deep freezer where it builds up layers of frost on the walls. So I think that's why it loses it over time for over a year. Like
okay.
But the other thing that's important also that I just saw really fast was the length of time between harvesting and freezing are factors for nutrient loss. So like obviously if you picked something and then waited 100 days to freeze it, it would totally be a different thing than if you picked it that day and froze it that day. But from what I gather from you, which I kind of didn't really know, I'd heard a little bit about, but is the nutrient loss is like very, very minimal. Whereas like if you cook something, then it isn't. And that goes along with this person's question. What are your thoughts on lightly steaming food below 115 degrees from raw ascension?
What are you steaming? Like, what are you, what are we talking about? We talking about potatoes or broccoli or mushrooms? And how? Like, on...
So, like, there is a little bit of nutrient loss when you steam. Well, you're steaming it below 115.
And how do you know?
Yeah, how do you know that?
That's cool.
I mean, what my thought on that is that it's like, what's your intention of asking that? Like, why do you want to know? Like, if you're gonna steam something, then you're steaming it, so it's gonna have that effect, is my thought. So there is a slight nutrient loss, but it's way more optimal than, like, if you're steaming broccoli below 115. I mean, yeah, that's pretty optimal if that's what you want to do. It's like, I think that the food spectrum is a gradation, and I think people need to really remember that. I think there's a lot of hi there. It's Sebastian.
Cool.
It's a gradation, you guys, and like I was really like all raw or no cooked, and like I just took Dr. Rick and Karen's course studying mastering raw food nutrition, and it really anchored in the idea that there is this spectrum, and it's like, what are your intentions for health, and does having this steamed broccoli serve your intentions and goals? So if it does, then that's great, and I'm not going to say that anything is like good or bad.
Yeah. I'm
just going to say that, oops, my hand's up. I'm just going to say that it's, does it align with what you're looking for? And so just physically there is a little bit of nutrient loss, but that's the most optimal cooked you could ever eat, especially if it's steamed vegetables. Like, I don't know if you're steaming grains, but under 115 or pseudo grains, but definitely, like, I think that the vegetables would be like the second next best. You know, that can be more optimal than like a raw gourmet candy bar thing.
For sure.
Or, you know?
Yeah. I was just thinking, what was I thinking?
About raw food in the winter.
Yeah, but with the steaming, I guess it can have its place. It can definitely have its place, for sure. I've had others ask me. I think, like what Tina was saying, it depends where you are in your journey. Oh, how do you relate to it? How do you relate to that steaming practice? Like, is it a slippery slope for you? Like, for me, if I start steaming things, suddenly, that overtakes my entire raw vegan dinner. For other people, they could have a small portion of steamed something and still eat the big salad and like feel good and not have this kind of like psychological trigger process where they start eating things that aren't serving them or too big a quantity. So I think if you can, depending on how you relate to having that steamed component or that lightly cooked option, for some people it could be triggering and kind of take you off the path of wherever your goals are. For someone else, they could relate to that in a really healthful, conscious way where it's improving their health, it's nourishing them, and it's helping them be healthier and more balanced and grounded in the winter time. So I think it really depends on the individual's relationship to like food and what they're doing.
Totally. Because like if you're someone, there's so many scenarios, so that this is where bio-individuality comes in. Like if you're someone who has holes in your intestines and you need to do a fast to heal those, you're not going to want to eat the steamed broccoli.
Oh, no.
But if you're someone who's eating high raw, then, like it just, it totally depends on your relationship to it, what it's, if it's symbiotic, Yeah.
Definitely. Any other questions, y'all?
Yeah, someone...
Raw vegan in the winter time. Drop them below. Chat them.
We have 5 more minutes.
This is your chance.
This is the last call. Ding, 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 ding. Wait.
Yes.
Let's do the ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. Last call for last questions concerning the topic.
your thoughts are?
What are we
nutrient
doing?
loss, yeah, on the nutrient loss he was asking
I'm
about.
specifically thinking about what your thoughts were on nutrient loss.
For
Okay,
the
yeah,
seed.
so
It's
there is
fine.
a slight
Should be
nutrient
fine.
loss, but it's like way more less than if you bake or you fry, definitely. Steaming is the least most nutrient loss, and then boiling has a little bit more nutrient loss, and then it goes down the ladder.
Sample daily menu. Oh, I mean,
For a winter.
yeah, what to do? I would say start with your hot lemon
water or
your-
ginger lemon
your
water.
tonic. Yeah, put some ginger in there if you want a little extra pizzazz and anti-inflammatory, warming sensations.
Mm-hmm.
Start out with that. You could do. We've been doing low glycemic green juice, celery juice, about 10 o'clock. A little later today.
Not cold. Everything we take out of the fridge if we can and have set to be room temperature.
Yeah.
We are in a tropical atmosphere, but I mean,
It's
when I'm
still-
home, I do that.
Yeah. Make the juice, even have the celery out before, let it be out. Unless you're using like the centrifugal juicer, you want to throw that back pretty quick.
Eleanor.
Yeah, good to see you, Eleanor. We love you.
Richard's here.
Yeah, so no salad in the morning for me. I do green smoothies, and yeah, for the green smoothie again, I'm gonna take out the frozen fruit earlier and kind of let it come up to room temp. Or y'all, like a lot of time I'm like, I'm just gonna have the frozen fruit. My smoothie's gonna be cold.
Yeah.
So what I do is I put on all the clothes, like 2
Thanks,
pairs
Richard.
of pants, multiple sweaters, and like I embrace that coldness. But yeah, green smoothies are good. Tina,
And then we just we've actually been batch making food, so like we'll just make our two smoothies in the morning. Yes, it's a few minutes, more hours, and more oxidation, but we put in our thing.
Yeah, hydro flask.
A flask.
Yeah.
And by then, if it was freezing with the blueberries or whatever, we put it, and then we have the second one out. We don't have to put it in the fridge, and it's just like room temperature. It even stays pretty cool. And so I personally have been doing 2 smoothies a day at home, or
It's
just
easy.
have room temperature fruit. And then for dinner, I normally had a lot of salads, and I've been getting on the soup kick. Kind of inspired by you and Tanny Raw.
Yeah.
So I've been learning new recipes, because I was always like, how do I make a raw soup? Even though I've been doing this for so long, I never got into it. And I was just very like minimal, like grabbing the stuff and eating, or like making salads. But like now I'm playing with the soups, and it's very enjoyable during the winter, especially at home. I want to play with that more. So we a sample menu would be like a soup or a salad
For
I
dinner.
mean, it's
Yeah,
not
or you
vegan, so
could have soup and salad. Yeah.
You can even like some people dehydrate their food and they put it in the dehydrator. Like they'll make the soup and warm it for a few minutes, or
You could do
or
that.
even the salad.
You could do
cool or whatever.
zucchini noodles or carrot noodles, butternut squash noodles, something like that, heartier. Mix it in, massage it in with a sauce, creamy sauce. Throw that in the dehydrator, on low, 115 or less for a few hours to go ahead and warm up. And if you have the sauce on the noodles, it's not going to crisp down as much.
Yeah.
You could make,
Warming the sauce.
warm anything. You could do a wilted spinach salad if you want. I've done that before in the dehydrator, and it will wilt down a bit.
That's actually
And
really good.
Delicious.
Learned
and
that
filling.
with Doug Graham, right?
Aaron
Aaron.
Valentine at his retreat. Yeah. The wilt, your kale
He was
kale
fully
salad.
into that.
Mm.
He called it wilted spinach.
It was
that
wilted spinach
oh,
salad. Yeah. It
Someone
was
asked if we
absolutely
live close to each
delicious.
other.
I
Richard,
wish.
we don't.
Yeah.
We're visiting each other this time.
Yeah.
That's why we're starting this off. We're physically together. I'm visiting Taylor in Hawaii, and I'm gonna go back like in a week.
Yeah, and then I'll visit her and we'll do one like this. But
That'd be
in the
awesome.
future, we'll do, the split screen version where you'll see both of us, on top of one another.
And we're gonna alternate hosting it. So like one time she'll do it, and one time I'll do it. And someone asked, "Can you eat any rice, matis?" There's this like black wild rice that you can bloom, and it's like you if you have a really old bad blender that's not as dull, you can kind of put it in with a lot of water and you just pulse, like you go and then and then you soak it overnight. And what it does is those little like things kind of scar or cut like little openings on the rice, and then just soaking overnight, and it actually turns out like it's cooked. So if you have no problems with grains and things like that, I actually like to do that normally I would do that during Thanksgiving and offer that as one of my seasonal platters. So
I know people on here showing that all the time. Alexandra Perry is always showing her wild rice raw. I don't eat that. I don't eat, cooked rice, obviously, or wild rice. I feel like my guts would be like, Taylor, what are you doing? Like, those of us with a weaker digestion, maybe not so much. But yeah, that wild rice sounds lovely. Is pickling considered raw?
I think we're getting cups.
If you're doing, no, we won't. It's okay. We can answer some more questions. Is pickling considered raw? It depends how you pickle. If you're doing like with a distilled, white vinegar and you're pasteurizing it like traditional canning methods, no, that's not going to be raw. But if you use like a raw coconut vinegar, like one of the recipes in my recipe ebook that will be coming out soon, that would be raw. Or if you use like raw apple cider vinegar with the mother in it and you're pickling some cucumbers or something, that could be considered raw as well.
Yeah.
So
I have a question here on the other camera.
Oh, yeah.
What are those jars behind you? So
these ones.
Taylor's, I think you're experimenting with wheat, barley, grass juice powder?
Wheatgrass juice powder.
That's juice powder.
For y'all over here, Dr. Berg's.
He's a keto dude, I guess.
He
really
is a
flippant.
keto dude.
He's into keto, but I guess
he's a doctor.
He has a really high quality
wheatgrass juice powder, and that's what you want. Is you want the wheatgrass juice, not just the wheatgrass, because the grass is just not gonna. It's too fibrous, and you're just gonna pass it out. Whereas the juice, you're gonna absorb so many different nutrients. So, really, really wonderful addition to round out the nutrition. But what I do is I just take a shot of it in water in the morning, first thing in the morning, and it's like, woo, okay. It's like having a coffee, and I really, really enjoy it for extra minerals and micronutrients, trace minerals. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's harder to get greens here. Like, you have to be picky about your greens too.
That's why I grow so many microgreens.
So Taylor grows a ton of microgreens to get her greens in, and then she's just got these. Yeah. We're not doing like a promotion here. This
not
is just
affiliate.
This is just in the background, like, and she likes to have things pretty, so
yeah. Look at our background, and then there's like spices back there too, salt-free spices. Yeah. We had another one over here. Cool. Is pickling. Okay, how do you want your tea in the morning to make hot tea?
How do we want it?
How do you want it? I heat the water, usually not all the way till boiling, and then use, you could use like a tea bag type situation or the loose leaf and steep it and, pour it out all nice.
How do you want it? You want it warm and
cozy, nourishing, and like flavorful.
Nice.
And like, so
in alignment with your mood.
Yeah. Like I have a few choices, and which one is like speaking to me. That's yeah. What about you, tea?
How do I want my tea? I want my tea matching exactly the mood I'm in.
in a pretty mug. Right?
Yeah, in a mug that I love holding. I like sometimes bigger mugs. Oh, this is another thing, like, I just want to say, if you're having a hard time like in eating raw during the winter, something I forgot that I am actually really into is getting things that you really love, like a mug that you really love, or just adding some love to your life, like getting the bowl, even if it's maybe a little bit more unique or whatever, and putting love into the food while you're making it makes you so much happier, and it's just really nourishing. So like the whole tea thing, like find the mug, the teas that call you, like go to have fun and go to a tea shop and explore, try new flavors. Like I'm not a tea connoisseur, but I do love tea. I've always had it in my life, I think, or at least for the past 2 decades I've been into it.
Richard asks, what dehydrator do we use? I have an Excalibur 9 tray.
I just got one. I haven't had one in a decade. And I just got an Excalibur, and I'm so excited to use it and try new recipes. So, yeah, I really want to try the raw vegan pizzas that I've been telling you about.
She's going to have a pizza party. Make us all jealous because we can't go.
Do you have any more questions?
Yeah. How do you heat your tea? I heat it on the stove. I have a little like propane heated stove, but you could do like a water kettle. Some of those will tell you what temperature too if you're concerned about it getting too hot, and you can set it to be 115 degrees or whatever you're comfortable with. So that works.
Yeah. Water boils at 100, right? So
no, Celsius.
Oh, Celsius.
Yeah, 212 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Thoughts about apple cider vinegar? No, yes, I thought about apple cider vinegar. Yeah, for pickling. Excellent. Beautiful. That's a raw. If you get the Bragg's with the mother, that's raw.
What's the mother? I keep hearing
the
that.
mother! It's like a SCOBY.
It's like a SCOBY?
Yeah, it's like the bacteria and yeast that like transform the apple cider into the vinegar that it becomes.
So it's a ferment.
It's alive. Yeah, it's like the SCOBY that's used to make kombucha and jun. So it's a fermented living probiotic situation. It's alive.
So this is where our styles differ, and this is not to differentiate us, but like this is cool because like normally in the past I'd be like, why are you eating vinegar? Like vinegar is toxic to the body. But then I talk with Taylor and I'm like, why are you into vinegar? You know, why are you into apple cider vinegar? And then why don't you share why you're into it?
I wasn't doing it for a while, and then I learned from Tanny Raw about how it can help up your hydrochloric acid in your stomach, which I have some digestive issues, so I'm experimenting with doing a little shot of that with some water prior to eating my dinner meal. I could do it before every meal, but usually the smoothies are like, I think I actually got that, but like dinner meal when I'm chewing a little bit more like the microgreens and stuff, I'm trying that. Otherwise I'm not really consuming it. I'm taking it medicinally right now. Not as like a flavor enhancer. If I like ran out of lemon or lime and
there was like
I needed some acidic, I would use it.
Recipe or something, I would use it too.
Yeah,
like,
but I'm not using it day to day other than like medicinal. Like this is like a medicinal thing for me. I'm not, taking it recreationally or anything, man.
She's like in the back swinging.
Man, I'm just like high on the wheatgrass juice powder and apple cider vinegar. Yeah, okay, I'm getting weird, so we should probably go.
We're getting goofy.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll announce our next topic. Like, we'll take requests, and also we'll also just do what we want, and
we'll be picking a new theme each month.
And we'll take questions around that again.
Yeah,
like
we want to talk about stuff that you guys want to talk about, and also relevant topics like trending on or what's going on in the raw vegan world.
The news.
Yeah.
The raw vegan
even
news.
Controversial stuff. Like just talking it out and then like seeing what you guys think too. Like we need to talk, keep an open dialogue, and all it can do is help us if we do it with the right intention. So you guys can check out this video if you missed part of it. We're going to save it and upload it to Instagram and YouTube.
It'll be on my IGTV as well as Tina's IGTV, my YouTube channel, Taylor A. Norris, Tina's YouTube channel,
Tina Seuss. It's the same as also my Instagram, which is at Tina Seuss. So
streamlined.
What's yours?
Joyful Raw Life.
Her Instagram is Joyful Raw Life.
Yeah, so you can find the whole thing there if you want to like cruise back on that, and absorb every last morsel and sip of goodness that we share.
Yes. Cheers, Taylor,
Yeah.
and cheers to all you guys.
I've got like one sip
Thanks
left.
for coming.
Yeah,
This
thanks
is
for
fun,
coming.
and we'll be doing it next month. So whenever you want, drop us a DM and let us know what ideas you guys have about
and
talks.
questions too.
Too.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, y'all. Have a wonderful day.
Bye. 11/11. Choo.
Nailed it. There we go.